Hello guys, welcome to another video of this channel. So in this video, we're actually going to take a look at when to give up and when to pivot in your business, right? Now, as a business owner, but personally myself, I can attest to the fact that running a business is not an easy task, right? There are a lot of things that you are going to face, a lot of challenges, there are a lot of things. And some people often give up. Right? They give up their ventures and give up their dreams and, go back to work, right? And according to the research, actually, only 80% of the businesses, entrepreneurs, succeed in their first year, which means the other 20, they fail. So in this video, we are actually going to take a look at some of the decisions that you have to make within your business when you're facing a dilemma on when to close a business or when to kind of change tactics. Right. So this will be that video. So when do you need to pivot? Right. The first point is when customers need something that is actually different. So if you start a business, but running a business, and you realize that customers, when they come to your shop, right, or business, they ask for a certain product, right? And you see this cycle happening time after time. Then this means that your business is not much of a failure, right? Which means that you need to provide the exact product that the customers need. Maybe your products that you're actually selling, they are not demanded that. So if you see that kind of cycle, then change your products and wait and see what the trends is like. Right? If more customers buy it, then your business is okay. Demand is there, and yeah, you're likely to survive. So this is when you need to kind of pivot, right? So when customers need something different, this means that what you're selling is not something that they're actually looking to put their money on. So you need something different. Then the second point is when the sales are low, but interest is high, which is basically almost similar to what I was talking about, right? That people will be asking questions, visiting your store, engaging you on things that they need to buy, right? And they may indicate maybe something like the prices, something that you need to watch, right? If you're selling something, it might be a product that they're actually looking to buy, but not in the price or at the price range that they're actually willing to pay, right? So when you see interest, as long as there's some sort of indication, right? Interest is a sort of indication that people need this, and these products, or maybe you need to make these kind of changes, right? As I've said, the type of product, the pricing, possibly maybe the marketing part, right? Maybe you've opened a business in a, say maybe a small town, right? And you even put out any sort of a marketing campaign, or put out like banners and distributed that. But maybe a few where you are within your space, you can actually see that people really need this, right? So what do you have to do right now? What you have to do is you have to start to market, right? Increase your marketing campaigns and spend more that. Now, this next point is when the market has changed, right? Now, you often see this thing, especially in the tech sector. Right? The tech sector is one industry that always is dynamic and it's always changing. People always love new stuff, right? Often see new phones with different features, new laptops, different features, cars, and things like that. And if you go back, like, I'll say, 2 decades ago or 10 years ago, the phones and the gadgets that we have now were a little bit different. With the time, they got better, some features added that people needed. So some of these things uh, are things that you need to change, right? You necessarily don't need to give up, your business. Some ways Nokia did, which was very bad. If people are actually looking for Androids and things like that, they were supposed to start working on producing the finest laptop, mobile phone, right, smartphone that they can get, but they tried. But I'm not going to kind of get into that. But they tried. So the changes in market preferences does not mean that your product or your business is worthless or is not demanded. It simply means that you need to uh, keep up with those market preferences, right? Economic conditions, of course, in a free market economy, like most of kind of democracies, something like that, market conditions always change from time to time. There are times when things are good, there are times when things are bad, right? Where maybe customers don't have enough money to buy stuff, to purchase stuff. So that does not mean that, your business is doomed to fail. It simply means that this is actually a phase that your business is passing through with in its location, for example, right? And also here it might have to do with maybe a business model, right? Sometimes business model they change, right? They change based on the conditions of the market in the industry, on what the industry requires in order for you to sell your stuff, right? Probably maybe some business model, maybe 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, might have demanded for somebody to actually buy a product and voila, you leave, right? That was the business model back then. It actually worked. Right? If somebody maybe wants to do a repair on a laptop or a phone, they can simply ask or go to an independent kind of repair, right? Another business that specializes in repairing phones. But recently, especially with, I see this business model that Apple has put in place where most of the repairs are done by the company itself. And that is what customers hate a lot. Right? If I'm to buy my iPhone, I have to go to Apple that is actually going to charge me thousands of dollars just to repair, to make a simple repair. And that is actually what many people are actually complaining about, right? Or give me a phone that has a battery that I can remove, which is, I think, most of the phones and laptops today, they're like that. Back in the day, you can just swap off the battery, go and buy another new battery, but not necessarily the original one that was there, but a new one. Right? So you don't see those kind of things today. That's kind of the thing. So for Apple, as I've said, like they have this kind of business model that a lot of people don't like, right? I'd rather buy a Samsung phone than, when I know that if it has some issues, I can get someone that is actually cheaper to do the repairs for me, rather than just taking a lot, going to the same company that is going to charge me outrageous amounts of money. So it means that you need to change your business model. The next point is when a different product is performing better, right? I think I've already elaborated on this point, in that sometimes you might be selling different products, right? Then one does better, the customers, they come and they buy that same product. If that is the case, and then it simply means that you need to focus on that product, but get in stock much of that product as opposed to the others. This will be helpful in increasing your sales, right? And another point is when the numbers suggest improvement is possible. But again, this is just the summation of everything, right? When you see the interest, the number of people that visit your shop, right? Or the sales, for example, if you're new and you've not marketed a lot and you see a lot of people that are coming without doing much of that marketing, then it simply means that there is demand for your stuff. There is demand for products and services, actually, right? If your profit margins could improve with the changes, then you need to pivot, make a change. So in simple terms, I think those are some of the points that you need to take a look at if you're a small business and you're actually deciding on whether to make changes or give up, possibly. So these are the things that you need to take a look at before you close your business or shut down your business, right? Now, let's look at the signs that you need to take note of that will tell you that this is actually the time to give up on your business. So the very first one will be if the market simply doesn't exist, right? If there's no demand, like there's nothing, no indication of people wanting to buy your stuff, right? This means that people don't need your services. Right? Now, me being in the service sector, I would say I experience this a lot. Right? I think currently, especially right now when there's AI. Back in the day before AI was a thing, I actually used to write and create stuff for businesses, right? Write documents, business plans, proposals, and things like that. But right now, the demand for that is almost non-existent. Like I haven't written a business plan for almost 2 years now, if not less. I think 2 years maximum. But I've been doing other things like company profiles and designing. I think those kind of services were not taking away from me, right? Right now, I'm more focused on trainings and things like that. Not much writing. So writing is almost like a dead thing right now. You can't. It's a dead service that it cannot fetch you the money or keep your business alive. So yeah. So those are the things that I need to abandon. And I've been sitting around like for a couple of days now, trying to cancel some of these services, right? And trying to see what is relevant. What is relevant? Now, there's a time that I always think I was thought of maybe I should just give up on this consultancy thing, but now I know that I just need to pivot, right? Instead of just focusing on writing and producing this kind of documents, I should focus more on the core services of consultancy, right? Real consultancy like business auditings and things like that. So yeah, it's something that I have been actually thinking about. So yeah, when demand is not there anymore, you just simply have to shut down your business, right? The next point is when the losses continued despite multiple adjustments. So you have seen certain things, certain issues within your business, and you've come up with some divisive measures to see on how you can make changes. But even if you do, things do not work still. Things are still bad. You are losing sales, right? More costs are mounting to your business, and you can't simply keep up. Now, that is the sign that you should now shut down your business, right? So that's the sign. Then the next point is when you are constantly injecting personal funds, right? Which is another thing that have is actually applied to me, right? When I begin to use most of my funds to kind of keep the business afloat. Now, the business is actually created to generate money, not to take away money from you. So, yes, during the initial starting phase, the business might demand that you put money there, right? But the the general notion is after doing that, when the business gain traction, it is supposed to bring that money back with interest, right? That's the reason why we start businesses in the first place. So if it does not bring you back the money, it's to keep taking away, then it's time to shut down. Then it's time to shut down. Right? So yeah, that's another sign that you need to take a look at. Now, the next point is when the opportunity cost is too high, right? Now, when you talk about opportunity cost, we are basically talking about, let me kind of make an example. For example, let's assume that there is a project, you've got two projects, right, that you need to do. And they both pay you maybe, let's say one pays you $20 million, right? US dollars. Then the other one pays you maybe $20 million. Let's say $20 million. But maybe the other one is within your vicinity, right? Where you are located within a town, and maybe it takes you maybe 5 minutes to go there, to drive there. Then the other one is located maybe 500 kilometers away from you. Which one will you choose? Which one will you choose? Now, the answer to that, I'll say most will say the one that is close to me. Why? Because the other one is very far, which means you need to use resources, your own resources to get there. You need money for fuel to drive there, and you need maybe to take some money also to get accommodation and things like that. So that one is, it stresses you out. So if you pick the one that is at the town where you are, the other one becomes an opportunity cost, right? It costed you that project to get this one. So in simple terms, that's what opportunity cost is all about, right? So if the opportunity cost is too high, right, the time, the money, and the energy invested could generate better returns elsewhere, you give up, right? So if you find out that, these things, I can spend my time, my money, and to do other things that can get me more money than that, you rather give up. So what is the point of continuing anyway, right? So that's another point that you need to take note of. Then the next point is the legal, the regulatory, or structural barriers are too great. So these ones they're actually something that you might face if you're to invest in other countries, right? I would say maybe let's just assume the in your own country, and of course every business is bound by statutes or acts, right? There are acts that govern the mining industry, the acts that govern the agricultural industry, the acts that covers different this industry. So if getting maybe into the mining sector, like the acts, the regulatory, and all these things makes it too difficult, right? Makes it too difficult, then it's not worth it to get in that industry. You get the point, right? If it's difficult, maybe the fees that are demanded, um, it's actually difficult for you to do business there. Then it's time to say goodbye. Now, the next point is if the business is damaging your health or relationships, right? On that one, it depends on you as a person, what is important to you. But I think as human beings, family is more important than money. Right? I don't know if other people agree with me on that, but yeah, but family is actually very more important. So on a general note, right, if a business is actually putting you at risk, like maybe your health is deteriorating because of the kind of stuff that you're doing, right? You're no longer able to, think and have that time, your own time to, be yourself mentally, and also have time to take care of your family. Then that business is not worth it, right? It might give you money, but it's not worth it. At the end of the day, the reason why we are starting businesses is for us to have the finances to live in this world nicely, right? This world is governed by finance, right? Money is the ruler, money is the king, as they say. It's unfortunate that we have this kind of a system, right? Can we have an alternative system where maybe you don't need money to survive? You don't need money to, you know, get all those things, food and stuff. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. There are some kind of I would say critical thinkers, or those guys, right? That is propose something called a resource-based economy, where not money is used to do that, but resources that can be used to satisfy our own human needs and wants, right? I don't know what would be the structure or the way the resources will be kind of distributed or something. That I don't know much about that, but yeah, there's something that they said about rather than getting paid, right, uh, trading your time for fiat currency values, you can trade it for something that is maybe physical, tangible, right? Time for an actual resource. Right? Maybe let's say I'm going to work maybe 15 years, right? 15 years, maybe 5 hours a day. In return, I'll get maybe a house, big house, something like that. Yeah, I think it might work. I don't know. Uh, so yeah, this is what it is all about, guys. So these are some of the things that you need to take into consideration, right, before you shut down your business, right? Try to identify the patterns, the trends, what customers are saying, because that will determine if your business has a chance to survive or not. So guys, without wasting much time, I think that's all. And again, thank you for watching this video. And until then, see you in the next one.